Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I am your host, Kendall Graboff / Kendall.
In my head, I was like, what is she going to say today?
I was listening back to our podcast that came out today on my drive here, and I was like, I put no thought into it yet. So,
okay.
What's your name?
Juliarene. Welcome to another episode, guys.
We are doing another part of our Gym Girls Basics series, which is kind of bringing you back to the basics of getting into the gym, finding your routine, finding everything. And today we are covering how to make a workout plan.
Yes, and Wednesday's episode, when it comes out, is actually going to be so perfect to be listening to. I don't know if those words coming out of my mouth sounded cohesive.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to go with it. But Wednesday's episode is going to be really helpful for today's episode, so make sure you listen to Wednesday's episode.
Yes.
And today's episode.
Yes.
And all of them in the future.
They're all important.
All important. What are we talking about today, Kendi?
So in the Gym Girls Basics series, we've already covered nutrition and supplements. So I think we got down the food side of things, the fueling side of things, but now we need to talk about like, what the heck should you do in the gym?
First of all, let's talk about your nails.
Do you like them?
Those are bomb.
Thank you. These are my favorite nails I've ever done.
I think they're my favorite ever, too.
I showed my mom, and she was like, they look like something your grandma would do.
Oh, my God.
But I love them.
I love them. It's funny because I feel like a lot of like what's hip now is very neutral and like grandma-y.
Yeah. Brown's my favorite color right now.
Brown
so
is
like brown and tan.
Yeah.
It matches our
podcast.
Instagram aesthetic now.
If you guys have literally, okay, first of all, sidetracks. My little sister is my assistant, and she just moved up to being like 3/4 full-time, not completely full-time, and she's taken over our Know Your Power Instagram and TikTok, meaning like design-wise and like,
and she does
all of the
such a
things
good
that
job.
you guys see. So we've literally grown since we've gotten her almost 100 followers, which is pretty big for how little.
Yeah.
Like we literally just hit like 1,000.
Yeah.
So yeah. And the theme is brown, and Kendall's nails are like a ombre brown, where it's like darker into lighter, and it's really aesthetically pleasing.
Thank you.
Sorry, I had to just.
I totally don't know where I was going now that I'm distracted.
You were whipping your hands around, and I was like, wait, pause.
Thank you.
We were talking about how to make a workout plan.
Yes. So I feel like it's pretty basic. I feel like this episode doesn't need to be a crazy long episode because I feel like similar to nutrition, most people just overcomplicate things. It really is pretty simple. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, why? Like, what's your why? Find your purpose. Why are you working out? That could be as far as what you want to look like, but also how do you want to train? I assume if you're listening to us, following us, you're in the weightlifting space, you're in the potential bodybuilding space. It doesn't mean you have to compete or anything, but if you want to look anything like us, that requires weight training. Mm-hmm. And you just need to make sure that aligns with one, how you want to end up looking, or two, how you like to train. Because if you love running, maybe bodybuilding's not for you.
For real.
You can find a balance there, but it's like, I feel like they're kind of counterproductive in the training style, or certain things like yoga. Like if that is primarily what you want to focus on, make sure that your routine revolves around that. But we're mostly going to be talking about bodybuilding because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, first off, find a why. That is important also every time you go to the gym, because if you're training with no intent or no purpose behind it, you're just going to show up and do the same thing over and over, and you're not really going to see progress. You're going to get discouraged, and it's because you're not holding on to why am I here?
Mm-hmm. That's big facts right there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the reason why people don't see progress with their workout program, and they get so frustrated, and you kind of do that thing where you're spinning your tires and you like do a workout plan for 2 weeks and then you like give it up and then you try something else, and it's because you just don't give it enough time and attention and purpose, like when you're training in the gym, because you're on your phone, you're like lollygagging, or you're not really tracking your progress. Like that can be a huge what's the word? Words are hard. It can be a huge difference between like how much progress you see.
Yeah.
And how much you don't see.
Yeah. I feel like everyone goes through like ebbs and flows of having like a really strong motivation, purpose to be there. And then the slower seasons, like you just need to remind yourself and kind of stay consistent with the why are you showing up here? What are you trying to accomplish here? Because if you don't, your workouts aren't going to be great. Like
very true.
At the end of the day. After finding your why, now you have a purpose, you know why you're training, you know kind of the style you want to train in. You have to determine how often you can train. Because there's a ton of people out there, like we have the luxury of having a lot of time like in our week that we can dedicate to the gym. But there's a lot of people out there that can maybe only get into the gym 2 to 3 times a week. Their training split and how they train is going to be much different than someone that can make it in every day.
It's true.
Yeah. You can't do, I guess in basic terms, to an example, if you can only get to the gym 2 times a week and you only have 30 minutes those 2 times, it's still good to go. Like, don't let that discourage you. Don't be like, well, I don't have the time. Like, still try to get in there. It's just try to optimize those 2 30-minute workouts as much as you can. Maybe do full body each time, or maybe do upper and lower, just something general, working large muscle groups versus someone that can go 5-6 times a week. Then you can do like a shoulder day, a hamstring and glute day. Like, you can be more specific.
Yeah. And I think that this kind of ties into number 1 as well, because people can get so, by people, I mean me as well, can get so caught up in like what everyone else is doing or how someone else trains that maybe has a different lifestyle than you, and like think that you need to train that long or that hard or exactly like that to have that physique, when you're like, okay, I have a 9-to-5 job, I have 2 kids. Like, I always think about like the moms that have children, and I'm like, oh my God, they're most likely putting their child ahead of them most of the time.
Yeah.
And like, okay, making sure that they're okay here, everyone's good. And then I'm going to have some time for myself to go to the gym. And sometimes it's like, they don't even leave time for themselves. So you have to take that into consideration when you're actually like sculpting your workout program. It's like, okay, I might see that Kendall and Julia go 5 times a week. They have 2 rest days. I even go sometimes twice a day because I do fasted cardio in the morning, and then I'll go later to go train. And that's not realistic for a lot of people. So if you're like, okay, I know that I work Monday through Friday, like 9 to 5, like let's say that's kind of a basic. I know that I can go and hit the gym 3 times a week right after work, but that means that I have to pack my bag before I go, so that when I go to the gym, I have everything in that bag. It's just, I grab it and I go.
Yeah,
and
make
then,
it easier for yourself. Like, set up your day around it if it's, again, something you want to prioritize, which odds are if you're listening to this, you do.
And also, like, it's so easy to get into the mindset of, oh, like, I don't have time. Like, I'm always doing this. I'm always doing that. And it's a very easy cop-out. And if you want to make time for this stuff, you will make time for this stuff.
I want to use an example. The woman that beat me in my last like local show for the overall, I followed her. She's a, oh my gosh, what is she? She's either a nurse or like a firefighter, like something insane. She works nights. So I'd always like, I just was like kind of like supporting her through her prep as well. So I followed her on Instagram, and she would like post her story leaving her shift at 4 a.m. and going straight to cardio. And like, then she'll go home, have to cook her meals, and then she'll be able to sleep.
Bruh, no.
I was like, please take the overall. I am nothing compared to you.
Yeah, and that's so true, because like, even on the sense of like a competitor or a not competitor, a couple, oh man, it was a couple months ago, but I was coaching this client, and she was a mom. And oh my God, she had like the craziest life. She had like a special needs child as well. And she had a bunch of kids. And she was somehow still making time for herself to go and do all these things, to meal prep. And it's just proof, like, if you really want it that bad, if this is something that you actually are committed to, you'll do what it takes to make sure that you can fit it into your life.
Yeah. And for the women out there listening, say you have a kid or just a really demanding job, remember that putting yourself first by going to the gym, by supporting your goals and dreams, that it allows you to show up better for the people around you. Because I have some clients that have kids, and they kind of use them, and they've been honest with me. They're like, I kind of use my kid as an excuse to not go to the gym.
When I have a kid, I'm totally going to use them as an excuse to not go anywhere.
And
big facts.
Say like, at least they're coming to terms with it, but like, don't let it take away from what you want.
Exactly.
Because then you're going to stay unhappy and then you can't really give all the love that you could be. And also, like, it helps with energy. Like, I don't know. If you can get to the gym, I would get to the gym. And even if that's 1 to 2 times a week for really brief workouts, that's a start.
Exactly.
Like, anything's a start.
Yeah. And if you're like, okay, I can only get to the gym 1 or 2 times a week where I actually have like equipment, then you can do that full body workout to where you might have a strange training split where you're doing upper and lower on the same day. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to get your cardio in, you can go on walks in the morning, maybe like before your kids wake up or while your hubby is still in bed sleeping, because we know that all these women out there are waking up and their husbands are like,
The few men listening to this are like,
I know.
frick.
They're like, shut up. But it's so true. And lastly on that, I know we're going on a tangent. It's just, I think being a mother is one of the most rewarding and challenging things. And I love my mother so much because somehow she did it. She was a mom to 3 children. She always made sure that we had food. She always put us first and put herself last. And sometimes she still does that. And I'm trying to get her not to do that.
Same with my mom.
But ask for help. And if you can't pay for help, which I get is not always a thing, ask your partner, ask your friends around you for help. Because one thing that I feel like a lot of women do, especially moms, is they like bring on that I can do everything mentality, and you don't have to. Like, it's not cool to run yourself into the ground and like do everything and have no energy for yourself. Like, that's actually not cool.
Get it through your head.
Get it through your little head. Ask for some help. Like,
even if that help is asking one of your friends to start going to the gym with you, like just that sense of community or like having people around you kind of like in the same boat as you just makes it easier.
Very, very true.
Yeah. Because my mom used to have like a power walking group where I grew up in New York, where they would like, I don't know if it was while we were at school or something, but they would like power walk around town.
That's adorable.
But that's like getting your steps in, doing it with people. They were all like going through it together.
It is. And when I did 75 hard and I did my morning walks every morning, I loved them. And if you go fast enough, like if you're power walking, like you burn some calories, man, and those calories add up.
Yeah.
Especially like if for your overall weekly count. Sorry, we went on a tangent about that, but
I think it's important. We just want to stress it.
This podcast is tangents.
That's all I ever know. Not for me. Okay, so once you can determine how much time you can spend at the gym, then you need to focus on like what you're doing while you're there. We talked about it in the episode where we talked about our personal training splits, how much it's changed from when we started to now. When you start, you need to just build a foundation. If this is your first time in the gym, or maybe you're just like trying to get back on track, maybe you've been going 1 time a week and you want to bump it up to 3 or 4, whatever your transition right now into the gym is, still focus on your foundation first. Like doing accessory work is not as important as focusing on just like the overall muscle groups. Focus on building your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes. Focus on chest and back. For women, it is still important to focus on chest and back.
Yes.
Grow those areas. Focus on your arms. Once you have a foundation, you can fine tune. Once you find your weak points, you can start working on them. But you don't know what your weak points are unless you train everything.
Exactly, because you have like a blank canvas when you're first starting out. And you're right, we talked about it in a previous episode. We were talking about once you get more into like bodybuilding and you're like sculpting your body to fit into some sort of category, then your training split is really geared towards that. But when you're starting, you're like a little baby. And for one, it's an incredible time to be lifting when you first start, because those newbie gains, like your body is not used to training this way and to tearing muscles this way. So you're more likely to put on muscle faster than like somebody that's seasoned and who's been working those same muscles for years. Like the older that you get and the further along you are in your workout journey, the harder it is to put on muscle. So really use this time to set the solid foundation. And what I think of when you're setting a solid foundation is compound movements. And that's one thing that I know I didn't do. And I'm going to be completely honest. I went right into like the accessory, like the cool movements. I was like, let's do all of these things, but I don't know how to squat. I don't know deadlift form. I don't know how to properly bench press. You know, I don't know how to do like a row or a hip thrust. Like these in my brain are like the top compound movements for almost each muscle group.
I feel like that's why we can preach to its importance, is because we didn't do it, and I regret it every day.
Every day of my life, I wake my head up from my pillow and I'm like, remember that one time when you didn't practice your squat form?
I was like, wow, that first year of training where I could have been making so much progress, I wasn't, because I didn't know.
Exactly.
Which is why we're here and talking about
Which is why we're here. Do not make the same mistakes,
do
kids.
your compounds. Also, don't be afraid to lift heavy. We'll like get into like finding form and stuff like that in a second, but like, don't be afraid to push yourself in the gym. I feel like it is kind of scary at first, where you're like, well, what if I fail? What if I fail my squat? Then you place the bar down, you stand up, you set it back up again.
Exactly.
Like, it's not that big of a deal. Also, no one, we've talked about this all the time, but no one is watching you in the gym like you think they are. I've never looked at someone and be like, how much are they curling today? Like, no one's going out of their way to do that. So don't manifest that in your brain. Don't think that, don't overthink it, essentially.
Yes, because literally the person next to you that you think is judging you is actually judging themselves way harder.
Yeah.
Like, all of us are just like narcissists. If we're gonna be honest, like, we're all just like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. Like, stop.
That's me.
They know that I didn't go heavier this week. Like, they know that my form was a little off, and it's like, not everything is about you.
Yeah, if they look at you for a split second, they didn't have time to calculate how many reps and sets you've done today.
They're probably thinking about like, oh my God, she just looked at me. Oh my God, we looked at each other.
No, exactly. So yeah, definitely just build your foundation, work on it, try to progress. And then going into the next session, use Google and YouTube to your advantage.
Literally.
Obviously, best option would be getting a coach or a personal trainer if you are new to the gym and you don't know what you're doing. Second best option is just researching on your own. It's that easy.
Very true.
Are there certain like sites or YouTubers that you watched in the beginning or now that helped you?
I would say I watched a lot at the beginning, and now that I'm like years removed, I know which ones that I should have been watching instead.
Yeah.
Meaning that they break it down in like layman's terms, and it's visually pleasing and it makes a lot of sense. And I would say my top person to look at is Jeff Nippard.
I have it written down
You
right
do?
here. Yeah, Jeff Nippard.
Let me look into the paper.
I still watch his videos and I still learn so much. And my list, just to go through him, Jeff Nippard, BioLane, Hanny Rambod, those three use such scientific, I guess, proof for their training. Yeah. They give evidence in their videos typically, or they reference certain articles. It's just like so well thought out and also very like digestible. They make it very easy to understand. But yeah, Jeff Nippard taught me like everything about training shoulders, everything about training quads. I love that man.
Every time I'm like in a slump with my like workout program, or like I legit have a question and I'm struggling, I always go to his channel because I'm the type of person that like I start to snooze when people talk too much about the science and like the math, and I'm like and that's just, I'm going to be honest, that's just who I am.
That's fair.
But when I watch Jeff Nippard, because it's a YouTube video and he has things popping up on screen and he shows arrows pointing, like visuals are very good for me. So I am entertained watching it, and I'm learning about something that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
So I would go look at his videos, especially on like form for the squat, the deadlift, chest press, stuff like that. Because that can be a really easy shortcut for basically just the information overload. And his, I think now fiance, Stephanie Buttermore.
Oh, I love her. Yes.
She is
I used
like
to watch
the female version
all
of
the
him.
time. Yes.
I love her.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's very sciencey and she explains it very well in a digestible
They're both
way.
so intelligent.
Oh, I know. Yeah, they're both
like I feel like an idiot
too
even
smart.
trying to explain how they explain things.
Yeah. They
but
go into real depth.
Like learning form and like what certain exercise optimize what muscle groups, that's like the foundation of what you can then build on. So start there. Start by learning proper form. Even if you have friends that go to the gym, or like certain people you look up to and maybe like you have a connection with them, like send them videos, ask how your form is, like get feedback. If you don't have anyone else like a coach or a personal trainer, that can help a lot.
That's true. That's true. Coaches are definitely good for at least that, because most of the time you can send them videos of like, does it look right? Am I going low enough? Like, am I pushing hard enough?
Yeah.
And if you're able to, finding at least somebody that can do a training session with you, even if you can just like afford one. Cause I'm thinking about like when I started training, I could not afford a trainer, not even once a week. That was just not it. I could barely afford ramen at the store. And I could have probably paid for like one good session where he or she just taught me like the form and basics of these things so that you can learn it, feel how your body is. And then you can also watch a ton of videos and just like, I would literally at the gym, it's like I would get so embarrassed of it, but I'd be in the corner and I'd have my YouTube video up and be like,
still do that sometimes.
I know. Oh, I still do it and I still get embarrassed of it. I was watching a new, because in my head, I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm this IFBB pro. People probably think that I should know everything. And I'm doing that whole thing in my head and I'm like, this is dumb. But I was looking at a new way to do kickbacks because like I struggle with really feeling it and I just couldn't get the footing down because I need someone like moving my body, and I was like in the corner watching it, and I was like, okay, so
that's so cute.
I literally was like, my left foot goes here, okay, and then my right foot, and then I put it down, I place my feet, and I pick it back up again, and be like, okay, now you kick this. It was so dumb.
But I think that's proof enough that we all do it. Like, I also think I want to note, like, there are those educational YouTubers and websites, like bodybuilding.com is where I got a lot of my info in the beginning too.
That's true.
Most of those are pretty credible. They're usually written by personal trainers. There are YouTubers, like you could watch a Julia video and be like, well, I want to do her workout. There's good and bad to that. I think take inspiration from your favorite fitness influencers, watch their videos, see how they train, maybe what their split is, but then take it that one step further and do the research to find, okay, well, let's take that routine, but make it work for me, because not everyone's body's the same. Not everyone's going to like develop the same. So take inspiration from certain people and take actual knowledge from certain people. And it is hard to find the difference.
Same thing with nutrition.
Yeah.
Like when people post their, like what I eat in a day is, I know there was like a whole scuffy thing about like posting what I eat in a days, but they're really, I think people just assumed that they were going to be used for inspiration instead of people actually copying, but people actually copy. And I know that because I did that. Like I was like, let me show me what you eat in a day and then I'll have a body just like yours. Even though you're 5'7" and I'm 5'2" and I'm a little gremlin.
We all did that though.
Yeah, we all did
and
that.
we all do that with workout routines too, but it is important to take it that like little step further and just like tweak things to fit you.
Exactly. Because like, for example, I've told you guys before on this podcast that I've bought in like a couple programs from Sunny Andrews, and Sunny Andrews can like feel those workouts differently than I do. So if I do those workouts, I'm like, I don't feel it there. I feel it in my quads. So I have to swap things out. Even with my program that I have with my coach, I have to swap some things out because I'll feel everything in my quads first. And if you're like me and you're trying to grow glutes, let's grow them glutes. Those glutes, it can be frustrating. So that's just another example of like, just because their program works for them doesn't mean you'll be able to feel it in the same way. Even if you try your freaking hardest, maybe your quads take over.
I meant to go over this before. Just a basic split for people that maybe you're new to the gym and you have no idea where to start. In order to build that foundation, like I think 2 main splits are typically used, either an upper and lower split, where you train full upper body one day, full lower body the next, maybe then rest, upper, lower, rest, repeat. And then from there, obviously you can fine tune once you find your weak points. And then the other training split, which is what I did in the beginning, is push-pull legs, which push is like chest and tricep, pull is back and bicep, and then legs being full legs. Yeah. I feel like that's what most people do in the beginning.
Yeah, because you have the baby foundation and you're like, I can train everything and like, let's build up everything. So definitely do that to start with and don't go straight into doing some rando thing that actually isn't suited for your body.
Yes.
Or your
don't
goals.
like start with like having a dedicated bicep day. Like that is such a waste of like a workout day. Now, if you're like,
because then you're going to be like those guys at the gym that have like all biceps and they have tweaked legs.
I think I have it like underlined. Don't be the dude that skips leg day. Literally, like just don't be that guy.
Okay. So here's just like a little small story. So there's this adorable kid that goes to my gym and me and him are buddies now, but there's this group of guys that like all of them are so young. And also, what is up with all the young guys and their like messy floppy hair?
the SARM goblins.
It's a whole group of SARM goblins. And
that's what
all of them,
the little TikTok boys.
I was literally just at the gym. Yeah, literally. I was at the gym and I'm looking around. There's nothing wrong with this, but it's just a clear like showing of like age. So I'm looking at all like my friends at the gym that are like more older 20s and like 30s. And all of the men are like, the way that they have their hair cut, they have their beard trimmed nice, their hair is cut. Not saying that like that's what you have to do at that age. And then I'm looking at this like young little group of Sarm goblins. And all of their hair is like that hair that you have to like flip back with your head, or like it goes in your face.
It's like the Justin Bieber era, but
it's
like
weird.
Modernized.
It's like coming back. It's like, how could I make my hair look like I just got out of bed all the time? And it's like really funny because all of them have their hair like that. And then 3 more walked in and all of their hair was like that. It's all like
Do you
long
think they all
and like
go to the same person?
in your face. Or maybe they just don't cut their hair.
Maybe.
I don't know. I sound
They
like
do
an
it
old
themselves.
lady right now. I'm like, these hooligans with their hair, their long hair.
Oh my God.
Anyways, the real story behind that was there's a little cutie and his hair is all, and he's only like 17. So he comes up to me and he asks me, he's like, how do you get your legs so big? So I explained. I was like, I'm a wellness pro. This is how I train. And he's like, oh my God, 3 leg days a week. And I'm like, yeah, but I split it up like this and I rest these days.
Yeah.
And every time I see him at the gym, he's doing upper body. So I'm like, okay,
Your legs ain't gonna grow.
They're not gonna grow if you don't go and train them,
Yeah.
especially if your upper body is faster at growing than your lower body. You need more volume on your lower body.
Exactly.
So I'm like, you never listened to me, did you? You asked for my advice, but you're still coming.
Did you call him out?
Oh, no, but I should.
Oh, you should have.
I should.
He'd probably cry.
Yeah, but seriously, guys, girls if there's any guys listening to this, girls like guys who have developed legs.
We don't want to feel like ours are like overpowering
We don't
yours.
want like a bobblehead body or, it's like I know that nobody likes training legs because I was at the gym yesterday and like I was training legs and all of them were like, I'm glad I'm not you. And I was like, I guess like I used to think that way too because it takes a lot out of you, but train your glutes. My favorite thing about Zach is his butt.
Same with me and my boyfriend.
I touch his butt more than I touch anything. He touches mine actually. So yeah, train your butt.
I feel like that like wraps it up perfectly is like don't neglect certain muscles. Train everything. Don't skip out on certain things. Women too, don't skip out on upper body days. It can be
100%.
vice versa. It's so important. And then, after a few months of training and getting your foundation, if you're unhappy that like maybe you happen to like have arm muscles that develop super fast, then you can start slowing them down and training more on the areas that you want to grow up, like your legs or whatever it is for you. Yeah. But train them in the beginning.
Yeah,
like you're never going to know if you don't train them.
You never know. And then once you start training, you'll be like, oh my God, my arms grow fast or my glutes grow really fast or whatever it might be because everybody is different. But have you gone into the last one?
Just stay consistent. Keep following up with your routine. Consistency, I would say, is the number one most important thing with getting into the gym. Yeah. Keep showing up. Even if you have a crappy workout, even if you're only there for 20, 30 minutes, just keep showing up.
Keep showing up and don't flip-flop between programs. Once you start one, commit to it and
don't be a Pilates girly for 2 weeks and then be a power trainer for 2 weeks and then a bodybuilder for a week. Like you're not going to see results and you're just going to keep getting discouraged.
Think of how confusing that is just for your body. Your body's like, what are we? What are we doing?
I don't know who that reminds me of, but that like...
What are we?
For those not watching, you need to see the hand movements, but just keep showing up. No, I would love to tell you what exactly you should be doing every day in the gym. We can't do that because there's a lot of different body types watching this, but just do your own research, apply what we talked about, find your intention, find your why, try to make time for the gym as much as you can, even if it's just a little bit, just start. And then from there, find a base routine, do your own research, and then just keep showing up. Just keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Even if it feels like you're not seeing progress, you are seeing progress. Because people go to the gym like one time and you go home and you're like, where are my muscles?
Also, like you will start seeing progress. Your muscles are growing. Your weights are going up. It's really hard to see it yourself, especially if you're not used to it.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before that putting on muscle is less satisfying than shredding because there's the visual aspect. Like we're really visual creatures. And when you're shredding, like you see things disappear. When you're building muscle, you don't see muscles like pop out right away. So it could, excuse me, it could be hard.
Yes. Do you want to wrap it up? I still don't know our outro.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it, guys. That's for Gym Girl Basics workout split.
Get your ass in the gym.
Also, if you guys are wanting to bypass doing your own workout split, I have the Buff Babe Academy app, which is very good for anybody who's from beginner to advanced.
And for Austin locals, I'm a personal trainer.
And for Austin locals, Kendall is a
But for anyone
trainer.
online, go with Julia.
Yeah, if you want to do on the line and you're not here in Austin, we have the Buff Babe Academy app. It'll be the first link down below, and Kendall's link will be down there as well. So you can take the guesswork out and we can do it for you. That sounds like a very like you would hear an ad on TV.
Yeah.
Like, we do the work.
Call 1-800. We don't have a number, but
Gains with 3 Z's. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. We will see you on Wednesday. And as always, we love you all so much. And you are more powerful
finger guns
than you think.
Bye.